Okay. We're excited to begin our fall practice this Thursday with 138 days until opening day. Our players have been in small groups and practicing ever since school started in August. A couple of things I'd like to mention is congratulations to Trey Winginter. This summer he became Auburn's 51st Major League Ball player with the San Diego Padres. And also wanted to commend, September the 8th, this past month, our home dugout will forever be named in honor of Auburn's all-time winningest head coach, Hal Baird. He had 634 wins and took our program to 2 College World Series. And we had a special day and event for Hal and Janie Baird. So that was a huge honor of our program with so many people coming back to support that. Our focus for this fall is basically no comparison, and that singular focus is on, as we enter fall practice, is the development of each individual, connecting the synergy to the team with our coaches and our players. Hopefully habits and foundations formed to forge the best possible team in the present window with no comparison to last year's ball club, our rivals, our league, etc. Basically how good can we get and how can we grow in this window of fall practice. Our 2018 roster, some things that we lost were 8 seniors that were special to our program, which was basically 50% of our pitching output. Casey Mize, Andrew Mitchell, Calvin Coker, Welby Macheski are a couple that come to mind there. Basically 60% of our offensive production, any way you slice it and look at it, going from the outfielder Jay Estes in the infield, where we probably took one of our biggest hits outside of the mound. Josh Anthony, Luke Jarvis, Brendan Venter, and Brett Wright have all moved on from the program. The complexion of our 2019 roster coming up, we have 0 seniors on scholarship. We added 18 new players, 1 outfielder, 1 catcher, a junior college player, 7 infielders, 8 new arms, and the interesting thing there is 6 left-handed pitchers, with 2 of those being junior college left-handers. Our key returners from the team a year ago, catching, which Stephen Williams played in the outfield, came to the program last year and caught some sparingly in non-conference and early in the year before we moved him to the outfield. He'll go back to the catching position and train this entire fall. From the mound, Davis Daniel, Tanner Burns, Cody Greenhill, Jack Owen, Elliot Anderson, to name a few. And coming back in that infield is everyday shortstop in Will Holland, Edouard Julian, who DH'd primarily last year, but we'll try to take this fall to develop him an infield position for him to anchor a position if possible. Connor Davis may move from left field back to the infield. Has been working primarily at first base in our preseason work, and basically our 1 returning outfielder with the most experience would be Judd Ward. Continued thoughts about the 2019 roster. It would be the first time that I can remember in my career to have more lefties than righties on the mound. We have 10 left-handed pitchers going into fall practice and 9 right-handed pitchers. 5 incoming middle infielders, 4 returning freshman All-American that led to the country last year, and top juniors Davis Daniel and Will Holland. Our roster is made up of players. 19 are from the state of Alabama, 9 from the state of Georgia, 3 from Texas, 2 from California, and we have outliers, or 1 each from Canada, Hawaii, Illinois, Washington, and Wisconsin. Our full-time coaching staff, I'm happy internally to announce, is all back intact with Gabe Gross, Carl Nunemaker, and Steve Smith. We did have 1 addition to our overall coaching staff. Chris Joyner was hired as our strength conditioning coach. He had spent 8 of the last 9 years at the major league level in professional baseball with Toronto Blue Jays and Milwaukee Brewers. So we think he's a fantastic, unbelievable addition to have a strength conditioning coach that's trained Hall of Famers, MVPs at the highest level. We do have 2 fall games, so NCAA has instituted 2 fall games for Division I baseball. October the 27th, we'll play host to Western Carolina, and November the 2nd, play host to Stanford University for our team to be evaluated by actually playing outside competition, and also for our fans to get a preview of the 2019 team.
Those games are essentially exhibition games, right?
Absolutely. I really, this week I'm going to see if I can get Coach Miranda and Coach Dunn and their staffs together with our staffs and talk about criteria for a ball game, whether we play 2 5-inning games or how we want to break it down according to pitching, because we want to play a game, but we also want to make sure that both teams are getting what they need out of the experience from an evaluation standpoint.
That is a practice too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Doesn't count on records. Doesn't compete against eligibility for a player. So if a player plays, we still have the ability to redshirt that player. So I think it's more, instead of getting your top players all their at-bats, you're really trying to look at the depth and complexion of your entire team.
Butch, what's it mean from a starting point of a pitching staff to have Tanner and really those 3 experienced guys that have gone out there and done it with Cody and them, to have that starting point for a staff? How important is that?
Yeah, I think it's the foundation of how things you expect to be done. I think that happened as soon as we got going in August. See how Tanner Burns works, all you new guys, because we brought in a lot of new pitching. Davis Daniel has given up the draft 2 times, and there's nothing more that this young man wants to be a Major League ball player, but he sees the value in this journey at Auburn helping to obtain that. So, it's his 3rd time to be eligible for the draft, and how he works every day is at a pretty high level. He's pretty sincere about this deal. I hope our young guys are really looking to these guys. Cody Greenhill, just his character and how he competes on the mound is for everybody to see. And Elliot Anderson is a pitcher that's just growing into that category to mention. The work that he's done this preseason, being a left-hander, he's throwing even more strikes. His pitches are starting to really work together. And I mention Elliot because of his character. His character's off the charts, and for him to start pitching at a real high level and him already have this great character, it's another guy that's led by example and a great foundation for these young guys to look up to.
But you talked about it. You mentioned him during the House thing. Brett Olson, a 5th-year senior, I guess,
Yep.
who's not likely to play a lot, and yet he's still here, and has some leadership qualities. How much does a guy like that? How important is a guy like that?
Yeah, we've done some pre-fall surveys I've never really done before. Traditionally teams do post-fall surveys to get a feel for who should play here or what we should do, or who's the best legacy leadership type guys, and Brett's one of those with just amazing character, and our players know it and respect him. I'm really glad I did some pre-fall surveys to get a feel for who our players think are leading them. So, and Brett's at the top of that deal. And Brett's in our program because of Brett. I've talked about this in the past. Being Greg Olson's son, can you imagine being in this program and you had a father that's one of the 5 guys on our wall out there? But Brett has persevered and been cut from this program and just persevered in such a way and took this leadership role so seriously that he's positioned himself well, and it's going to be a great senior year. And he's already an unbelievable story if nothing else happens, but he gets another fall to go out and compete and play, and we'll see what happens. But this is one of those points where in the fall practice you aim as high as you possibly can, because you never know what's going to happen over these 138 days before you line up and play. And he's making a difference in our program. He's developed and grown, in my opinion, over these last 6 to 8 months incredibly. But I know he's going to make a positive impact on our program because he does it every day.
But I know one position that you always kind of look to is catcher.
Yeah.
And you have to replace Brett. Just kind of look, I guess, that going into the fall, what's that look like, obviously, especially with Stephen Williams getting kind of that move back there again?
Yeah. Well, one, I know it's Stephen Williams' passion position, so at the end of the day, the players make the lineup out, and the coaches try to, take all of that we put together and put the best lineup together. I think Skip Burtman's the one that said you're not looking for the 9 best, you're looking for the best 9, and that's definitely what we're looking for, is to put the best team that functions together. But Stephen has such a desire. He came to Auburn and delayed the professional baseball to see how much he could develop as a catcher. So we'll take this entire fall we feel like we could put him back in the outfield in January and February, and he'd be ready to go from all that time spent, that investment from last year. But we want to see how good he can get at the catching position this fall. So does he. I think the signing of Matt Scheffler has been huge from Seattle, Washington, a junior college player. I think this early feel before you get out there with an entire team that you have two catchers that are ready to serve and catch a ball club. So I think we're okay from that standpoint. Chase Hall is a returner that redshirted last year from Southern Union. Troy Bearden's a new player from Birmingham, Alabama that has joined the program. But we feel like our 1-2 catchers stack up very well. Because you look at that body of work, Brett Wright did an amazing job in our program. He handled the first pick of the draft very well on Friday nights. He gave us some offense. He gave us some intangibles. He played so hard. You know, looking back, Brett Wright became a huge replacement as we got into the summer of needing a catcher. And Matt Scheffler's looked the part. He can definitely throw. And probably our hardest worker in our program so far in these early stages of showing up early, staying late, doing extra work in the weight room. It looks like he's really come in to make his stamp on the program and work hard and earn a position.
How did Stephen deal with the last play of last season?
I think I said immediately that, hey, this will be part of his this will be part of his journey, but won't define it. I just watch him in BP every day. We connected with him a lot this summer, him playing in the Cape Cod League. And still, I'm proud to coach the Auburn Tigers because when that last play of that game happened, to see my entire team show up in right field with him. I think I want Stephen Williams to realize that a lot of people has got his back. There's a fan base, but really on the inside of his frame, his entire ball club's with him. I can't think of a better place or a better situation for him to be in because we can't stop things from happening. You know, we can't stop failures. We can't stop adversity as coaches. But to see a group of guys that you go to battle with every day to be right there for you, I think he's in good hands. And I think our follow-up's been good. And I think he's been excited, and I think he's put a lot of things behind him to know that's part of the journey. But hopefully, as he continues to grow as a ball player, you can call on all types of experiences, challenges, good experiences, bad experience to make you a better ball player. Man, he and a lot of our ball club and our program got a ton of experience from that journey. So I don't think we should apologize for, even though we got our hearts ripped out of being the last team not to qualify for Omaha last year. We have to use that in a positive way to continue to grow and mold us as we move forward. So amazing experiences, tough challenges along the way. That's what it's like playing in the Southeastern Conference and trying to do something special. So, we welcome it, but I think Stephen's in a great place heading into this fall practice.
But I guess fall's always a time of experimentation a little bit, but on the infield, you got a lot of guys that are pretty, I won't say expendable, but guys that can do a lot of different things, whether it be Rankin Woley coming in, Edward Julian. Will it be just a case of kind of trying to find the right fit to play around Will and the rest of that infield group?
I think that's one of our most exciting things is, you got Scheffler and Williams there at first, at catcher. At first base, you got Connor Davis coming back in and taking reps there, a lot of reps there. Stephen Williams has taken some reps there, so if you feel like you got two catchers that can really compete in a ball game, if we were opening up this weekend, this is the complexion, and I know that things can change down the road, but Stephen could catch play a game at first base. But these guys are going to move. We're going to move them all over. I'm trying to treat them as ball players. We basically had 5 shortstops come into our program, so you can only play one shortstop at a time. And last time I looked, somebody's got to dethrone Will Holland. He played every day. Was one of our most consistent performers that just posted every day. So Will probably will not work at any other position, but every one of these other 5 incoming shortstops will work at other positions, second, third, first. You're always wanting to potentially acquire a defensive first baseman later if one of these shortstops are better in that category in the last couple of frames and getting those last 6 outs. That may be an option, but Julian's working at second and third. We played him in games when we put him in the lineup at second base, but he has taken a ton of reps at third base, and the early returns have looked really good at that position. We're trying to get Rankin Woolley on the field. He's had some spine issues from Cape Cod this summer, but we think he starts this week, starting to hit and get out on the field with us, and may be out there as part of the whole team here in a couple of weeks. But he's a guy that, you know, probably led the junior colleges nationally in RBI. That's got to be a huge part of this, especially losing some big bats in our program. But you just look around that infield, it's going to be with Anthony and Luke Jarvis and Venter not there, those got to be new people that step into those roles. Probably in this early going, Ryan Bliss has been who we've been so excited about. We feel like definitely can play short. We've been incredibly satisfied and excited by how he's played second base with his athleticism. But he's still getting work at third base as well. So Everett Lau, junior college guy coming in. So these 7 infielders that have come to our program, the 5 high school and the 2 junior college players that are in that infield category, they got an opportunity to play second, third, corner outfield positions. It's kind of wide open there. So we'll be juggling this fall more than the last couple of falls on guys just trying to put ball players at positions, not feel like anybody's stuck at any one position.
How much does it drive you and the guys who were there for both of them? I mean, you've been so heartbreakingly close the last 2 years. I mean, you're one pitch away against Florida State, and if you win that game, not taking anything for granted, but you almost certainly win the Super Regional the way it worked out. Mm-hmm. To have been that close to Omaha 2 straight years and come up just short.
Yeah, I just see it as growth. I put this no comparison type deal to this ball club, and you can always sit there and evaluate, is a glass half empty or is a glass half full? And we're just saying we need more water. We're saying that we need to not compare against these experiences and know that our program has moved in a very positive direction. And to use this opportunity this fall is to not really compare to anything else except trying to just each individual, each coach with teaching, everybody involved in the program, just what's the best this ball club can be. There's also a deal of like, hey, Super Regional hadn't won one of those games in the history of our program to kind of like, we've arrived. I have a huge fear of urgency, and I want us to not be complacent. So the comparison thing is kind of exhausting, in my opinion. This ball club, and with 18 new players, we basically just need to focus on the task at hand, the present of this fall, and see how good we can get individually and collectively.